The Hive, a virtual reality sports portal, is an affordable and accessible VR sports gaming system. It's cross platform, regardless of device, and can be played solo or multiplayer. Our idea is to make playing sports fun and accessible for everyone. One of the best features of our gaming system is as long as you have a device, even just a smartphone that's compatible, you can download the app, purchase equipment, and play too. Our gaming system is handicap accessible. We have settings, equipment, and avatars for all players, regardless of physical ability.
First, we thought about an obstacle that keeps people playing sports. Joining a team and purchasing equipment can be expensive, especially for people needing accessible equipment. Other limiting factors include physical limitations, finding a team, and weather.
While brainstorming our solution, we started by making a list of goals for our product. We wanted to include can participate at home, less of a chance of injury, don't have to be on a team to participate, learn a new skill without needing to purchase a lot of equipment, not limited on who you can be on a team with, can play with people from other countries, easier to connect with others, and mixed ability teams. Before the pandemic started, I took martial arts classes in person. But after the pandemic started, we weren't able to do that, so we had to do them over video calls or over Zoom. So that gave us the idea that you could do something similar to that to participate in group activities, even if you weren't able to do it in person.
Whenever the pandemic began, I wasn't able to see my friends, so the solution was to play online with my friends. A good example was Minecraft, where you can play with people cross-platform, no matter the device.
While exploring solutions, we began to research the virtual reality market. During our research, we found many sites supporting the future of virtual reality in sporting. Research shows that VR programs are a growing industry with expected growth up to 30% over the next 7 years.
While researching the current VR sporting market, we noticed some big problems. A lot of games do not include leg movement, which limits the experience and does not provide exercise. The equipment is expensive, meaning people usually must pay to go somewhere to play them. These games are also rarely multiplayer, which takes away from the social aspect of sports.
We came across a platform called Omni, which had some great benefits, but it also had some challenges. First, it was extremely expensive at $2,000. It was not focused on sports. It was currently only available commercially. It was not multiplayer, and it was not accessible for disabled individuals.
Our idea is a multiplayer VR sports system that can connect to any smartphone or tablet that the user already owns. This lowers the cost and makes it very accessible. Also motivates people to play sports because it creates a social network.
To gather feedback on our idea, we created a Google survey. We asked our survey respondents if playing with friends would increase their chance of exercising, and 57% said yes, 25% said maybe. We also learned that most respondents have a compatible device to access our system with cell phones being the most popular. One of our respondents pointed out that accessibility for wheelchairs is lacking in current games. There is also a big problem with the lack of avatars that accurately portray individuals with different disabilities. This is something we didn't originally think of, so we decided we could focus our solution on this issue.
When researching the availability of wheelchair-accessible VR programs, we determined that most of what was available is VR training on how to use a wheelchair. While this is important, it would be for a very limited group of people and does not include the a fun or team aspect.
We started drawing our controllers, which were inspired by the Nintendo Switch Joy-Con. We did this to make it easier to use on multiple platforms, and because this format is the standard format for controllers.
To keep people safe, we sketched what we called the orb, omnidirectional rotating ball. This would be an optional, enclosed exercise ball that allows the users to go inside and run without running into walls or furniture. After receiving our feedback about wheelchair accessibility, we realized this could also be built to accommodate a wheelchair.
To start thinking about our program layout, we created a prototype in Minecraft. We wanted to have a big open space with seating so people can socialize while waiting for all the other players to log in and communicate on what games they want to play. Also, a small roller coaster to ride for entertainment while waiting. Once all the players are ready, a game can be selected by walking through a portal. By bringing sports to the virtual world, we hope that people who may have obstacles joining a team locally can start to experience team sports.
After sketching the controllers on paper, we used Tinkercad to create a 3D model of our hand controllers and ankle sensors. We measured our hands and other controllers to determine the initial size. It was important for us to include leg sensors because most current games do not track movement. We want our players to be able to move around and get the experience of playing the game. We had our designs 3D printed at the local library.
To create our original orb, we used ball bearings as a base. We measured the size of our ball and had to make sure the bearings were perfectly spaced so the ball rolled smoothly on the base. We also created a ramp leading up to the orb for easy wheelchair accessibility access. This is the orb. It stands for omnidirectional rotating ball. This is a ramp for people to go through and go in. Go in. Once you're in the orb, you close the door, and you just walk or go forward in your wheelchair. Not only is it wheelchair accessible, it is also accessible for non-wheelchair people or people with other disabilities. The ball is set on ball bearings, which help it spin.
We want our product to be as accessible as possible, so we decided it would be available as a free download for iOS, Android, Nintendo, and PC, or Mac. You would be able to purchase individual games as an in-app purchase. This is an example of our app in the App Store. We talked about what we would want to include in our avatars to give a large amount of options. We decided to include wheelchairs, prosthetics, glasses, hearing aids, color wheels for hair and skin to make it fully customizable, many hair textures and cuts, bodies of all shapes and sizes.
This was important to us because as we were researching, we had a hard time finding examples of avatars that were inclusive. We watched an interview with a mom who talked about how important it was to find a doll representative of her daughter with Down syndrome. We wanted to include this type of representation in our avatars.
We created an instruction manual for the Hive. Here's the introductions and parts lists. Here's the space requirements and setup for the headset. Here's the setup for the game downloads, and this is the setup for the controllers. Setup for the optional treadmill. Here's the game selecting and shopkeeper. Here's the changing room and the lobby. Here's some inspirational quotes and a conclusion. And that is the end.
We talked to 4 experts about our project. First, we talked to a business developer to see if our project was a good idea. He loved it. Then we talked to a graphic designer for feedback on our manual. Next, we talked to a wheelchair athlete.
So, on the topic of avatars, what would you like to see in avatars?
I think where you are in your disability, I think if somebody's like newly injured and having a real tough time accepting their disability, they would not want to see any of that in their video games. They're using the video games to escape and feel whole again. Then there's other people that are okay with it and accepted it, which takes a little while, and then they would use that as their identity in the game. So I think depending, it's all preference on the individual, just like if you like blue and the other one likes red. It's a great question, but I think everybody's going to kind of look at it differently, especially in Avatar. I think a lot of times you think Avatar and you just want the biggest, coolest avatar to represent what you think you are or who you are, kind of like big muscular, or, you know, the awesome lady out there kicking butt. But then again, there's some people like myself, I always go by the nickname Billy Wheels. So I don't mind having the wheelchair and being in there. I think I would soup up my wheelchair and do like Call of Duty and have guns coming out the back of it and maybe have a cannon underneath me. So I think that would be really
That would be really cool.
Wheelchair sports have been modified to work to the disability, which is great, but sometimes you lose the authenticity of actually playing. Like, I'd love to play regular football and be able to just hammer somebody. So I think having an avatar and the equipment to kind of do that and like go and sack the quarterback, which you can't do in wheelchair football, that would be really cool.
Would you use the vessel?
Yeah, I think I would give it a try, 100%. I think you guys are tapping into something that, and I, you know, not to go down another hole, but society, when COVID came along and everybody got stuck in the house, I think there's a real need, because on the flip side is people with disabilities don't always have access to accessibility. So like to get in and out of a vehicle or have a wheelchair accessible vehicle, to sometimes people not only can't afford sports, but can't get there because they don't have handicap transportation. So being able to offer something like this at home would be also another affordable outlet for people. And obesity is a big problem for people that are wheelchair users. Yeah, I think you providing something like that would definitely be very, very helpful.
Finally, we talked to an athlete and trainer to get her thoughts.
Have you or anyone you worked with missed out on training due to injuries? And do you think that this could help with rehab after an injury?
In all my other sports that I've ever worked with, you know, there's always someone who has a knee injury or, you know, wrist injury or foot injury, sprained ankle, absolutely could use some of this to continue to train for their sport, but not necessarily have to be there and like doing it. They don't have to sit out and watch. They can actually be engaging and getting better even when they're hurt.
Do you know people with physical disabilities that would be interested in playing with a team of mixed physical abilities and vice versa?
I think it would be really cool if, you know, those with disabilities could play with people who don't have any disabilities and they're all on the same playing field. I mean, how cool would that be? Kind of like you mentioned with the guy you interviewed in the wheelchair, like how cool would it be to be able to play basketball and you're all on an even playing field? And, you know, he probably has friends that aren't in a wheelchair. So how cool would that be that he's like, hey, you want to get on and go play basketball? And like everyone's enjoying themselves, getting a workout and doing it together. I mean, that would just be a really cool opportunity. I know my sister-in-law is a special education teacher, and she would probably love it. She would probably use it in her classroom as her, PE class or whatever. And that would be so cool for people to get to be together and have kind of like all the issues taken away and everyone's just completely equal. I think that'd be really cool.
First we printed the controller. It was too big. And then we reprinted it and it was too small. So then we reprinted it one more time and it was just right.
We realized that there were some functional issues with our orb design. We were worried about the size, accessibility, and durability of our first design. We also were worried that it would be fully enclosed might cause some airflow issues. This made us decide to do some further research on the market and how we could improve it. We came across a mechanical treadmill that was powered by foot power. The benefits of this takes up less space and can stop at any time without falling off. Improves safety and they can go backwards and forwards. This is extremely cost effective.
But we still needed to find a solution for wheelchair users. During our searches, we came across a mechanical wheelchair treadmill called the Invictus treadmill. By putting a wheelchair on 2 rolling cylinders, the wheelchair user is able to spin their wheels without actually moving. This would allow wheelchair users to participate in VR sporting events using our system.
At this point, we were ready to create our second version of the Hive. We decided we could combine and improve upon many of the ideas we had seen to create a fully customizable product by letting customers purchase accessories for their specific needs. The Hive can be used by anyone. Players can use the Hive in any available open space, or they can purchase one of our 2 treadmills. They can also use it with any of their existing systems, which keeps the cost minimal. To show off our ideas, we built a prototype of both new treadmills. We were able to get a wheelchair Ken to use as our model. Using his dimensions as our guide, we realized we could rebuild one of the first LEGO League mission parts into a manual, wheelchair-accessible treadmill.
The wheelchair is able to sit on the treadmill, and as the wheelchair user spins their wheels, the cylinders on the treadmill spin, allowing the wheelchair to remain in one location. Sensors inside the cylinders connect to the gaming system, and this movement allows the players to move within the game. These sensors replace the ankle sensors.
To replace the orb, we created our traditional walking manual treadmill for people who want to use the Hive but have limited space to play. We also used our FLL team Legos for this creation.
To use the Hive, each player would enter their treadmill or own space. They would put on the headset and be loaded into the hub. From here, they can wait for friends to join. Once everyone on their team is logged in, they would walk through the portal to the game of their choice. From here, they can begin to play or compete together as a team.
Do you want to play any sport which the equipment or training would be too expensive? Or perhaps you're in a wheelchair and cannot play a certain sport? We have just the product for you. The Hive is a virtual reality system made to make sports exciting, fun, fair, and safe for all. The Hive is a cross-platform and multiplayer too, so you can play with your friend across the globe who uses a smartphone while you play on a Switch.
The Hive's equipment includes 2 controllers, a headset, and 2 ankle sensors, which allows for full-body movement. Optional equipment available for purchase includes treadmills, both wheelchair and able-bodied. Just download the app. If you're using a smartphone, pair the controllers using Bluetooth and you're ready to play. Let's see the Hive in action.
Hey, have you heard about this new VR sports game system? We could play sports together. No, really. Let's get it and play.
Well, how am I supposed to use this? I'm in a wheelchair.
We have just what you need. Introducing not 1, but 2 treadmills available to use with the Hive. First is our treadmill for able-bodied players to move and be safe. This treadmill enables players to move both forwards and backwards within the game. Second is our cutting-edge technology, the Gamer Wheelchair Treadmill. This enables those who use wheelchairs to move in the game. The cylinders have moving sensors inside, replacing the ankle sensors, allowing the player to move inside the game, depending on how the player wants to be represented by their avatar. They can be shown with either a wheelchair or with moving legs.
Let's check on Ken and Barbie to see how they're doing.
We have so many sports to choose from.
This is cool. No, really, it is. I'm so glad we have this. Oh, wait,
There's a shop. Can we go shopping?
Yes, the shop is where you can acquire whatever you need for your avatar. You can customize your avatars with our wide range of options: skin color, hair, eye color, clothing, body types. Your avatar can even represent yourself if you have a prosthetic arm or leg or in a wheelchair.
Yay!
Let's hear from other happy athletes.
I think something like this, being so inclusive, would make them feel more a part of. A lot of people, they just talk about the inclusive, which I love that you guys are looking at. How do you be inclusive in society? How do you be part of something? I think by you guys offering this opportunity is huge, because that a lot of our kids will come to sports but are out of shape. So if they could do something at home and kind of do stuff to keep them going, keep their mind fresh and part of something, that would be great.
It's a cool way to keep yourself motivated. It's a cool way to try different things. I would never, do archery if it weren't for something like this. I could get on and be like, wow, I'm a pretty decent archer. And, if it's something that I enjoyed and fell in love with, then maybe I would actually explore it more. It gives you an opportunity to open your horizons to things you might not have done before, and you can have it immediately. And then if you're like, oh my gosh, this is the greatest thing ever. I think one of you probably mentioned fencing. Like, hey, I actually kind of like fencing. Maybe I'm going to go find a club that does that. It just opens up opportunities. So I think as an athlete or a trainer, it's an awesome opportunity.
Coming soon to a store near you on